So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are in the world. And welcome to another interview of the Shield Dude on a Couch. Today, I have Demetrio, or his artistic name, Dimitri Scopeletti.
That's
Uh,
correct.
yes,
How are, how are you, Hector?
I'm doing good. And we're here to, he's, for people that don't know him, he's a amazing guitar player.
Thank you.
And he put out an album of September 21st. I think it's your fourth album, right?
It's basically the sixth, but it's my fourth full-length album. The first two were EPs,
Yeah.
and
EP.
then my first album was The Art of Complication in 2016, The Silent Watcher 2018. Then there was 5 or V, according to the way you read it, in 2022, and now The Revolution of Evolution.
The Revolution of Evolution. So we're here to talk all about that album and other stuff. So I'm interested because these albums are all it's you playing guitar. There's at least no vocal. So tell me a little bit about your upbringing in music, how you got into the guitar and all that.
Well, it was a very long time ago. I was born and raised in Italy, even though I live in Norway those days. Since now, basically 17 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, I come from a musical family because my father used to play the guitar and sing along. He is basically singer songwriter, even though it's just for as a hobby. And so it was very easy for me to just pick up the guitar as a first instrument. And we always had music in the house, so I got in contact with a lot of rhythm and blues in the beginning, in the first years when I was a teenager. And then, of course, I started my journey through rock music, heavy metal, and everything else that came afterwards. I also I never really, I mean, I learned how to play my instrument by myself in the first, I would say, 10, 15 years. And then I joined the music college where I specialized myself into, I mean, being more or less a professional musician up to that point. And so I kind of studied different kind of music like jazz, blues, funky, and, a lot of different stuff which in a way or another they have been integrated into my music. But I believe I established myself as a guitar player way before that. Basically, around in the 90s, probably when I started my first band or my second band, which is the most significant band. Everybody start band when they are, in the high school and whatever, and then they quit and then they start other bands. So basically, in 1995, I started Arcadia, which was a band I played together in the next following 20 years. We have been all over the place. We even lived for a while in the US, and then we have been touring Europe, Asia, everywhere, more or less. We had 5 albums out. And then, after 20 years is a long time to be in a band if you basically live with the band. If you have a professional band playing every day, gigs and touring and making albums and stuff like that. So after 20 years, I thought it was time for me to kind of change a little bit. And, being solo is a completely different stuff compared to being in a band. So it has pros and cons. And the pros up to that point were that I could actually um, write the music that I have in my head without the compromises. The cons is, of course, when you have a band, things are kind of more easier to achieve because you are 5 people, and you are surrounded by a team and all this. So yeah, and here we are after many years now.
Yeah, I'm curious. Which was the first song that you learned to play on guitar?
That's a good question. It's a very funny story actually. So I remember that I even before playing the guitar, my goal was not playing the guitar. I think I picked up the guitar because it was the only instrument we had in the house. And of course, believe it, like it or not, it still and was at that time, especially the coolest instrument. Everybody wants to be guitar players, usually. So basically, some of my friends, they started the band at school, and they were looking for a guitar player. We didn't really have any biggest goals at that time, but I was like, I already listened to rock music. I liked Queen. My father was a guitar player, even though he was just playing some chords in order to sing over that. So I picked up the guitar and I went to him and I asked, I'm supposed to be starting a band sometimes next week, and maybe you can explain to me how the instrument works. And I also had that old school a tab book, which we used to use back in the day. Nowadays everything is on Guitar Pro, Songster, and whatever. That I actually borrowed from a friend, and which was Greatest Hits of Queen. And I asked him, I want to play this song, which was a very difficult song, was Princess of the Universe. And my father was like, okay, you know what, forget it, because if you need to play next week, you can learn a couple of chords, which already is a big achievement, I think. And so we went for another song, which was a bit easier, which was A Kind of Magic, And the thing is that on the tab books, you can read the tabs, or you can see basically the regular chords on top. So I remember the chords were A and B, something like that, and D probably. So that was probably the first song I learned, A Kind of Magic. And at the same time, I also learned another song, which was Proud Mary of Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Oh.
And that was the beginning, But I remember at that time that I think learning the guitar is difficult because it's a physical instrument, and it's difficult to get the sound of the instrument in the beginning, so everything sounds like shit, basically, But the joy of playing the instrument was so big that I started to practice a lot. So in like 3-4 weeks, I was able to play songs, and I was lucky also because I think genetically I had the musicality in me. So, which sometimes, I'm also a guitar instructor, and I see that the kids, when they are musical, 50% of playing an instrument is already in the body in a way or another. They just need to develop the technique.
Yeah, I've tried to play guitar, but my genes suck for playing guitar. So that's why I'm good at interviews, and I'm like, yeah, YouTube. I'll stick to YouTube. So yeah, aren't you glad that the instrument that your father had wasn't a flute?
Well, actually, this is another good point, because actually my first experience with music was the flute.
Oh,
Yeah. And, Italy always has been a very conservative and old school country when it comes to school in general. And I remember at the elementary school, the primary school, music was one of the subjects. I think was fourth or fifth grade or something like that. And that was the first time that I actually got exposed to play music. And I remember that playing the flute was, it was not always fun, but it was better than a lot of other subjects that we had, because at least it was music. It was something kind of creative in a way or another. And I learned how to play music, So, and after that, I started to play the guitar, rock music, heavy metal, death metal, whatever. So we never read anything, it was just by ear. But when I went to the music college, I remember that one of the reasons why I passed the test, in order to attend, it was because I could actually read music, since I learned how to do that at school. So even though at school it sounded kind of boring, because, it was a boring instrument, it was very useful for me. And I always mention that to my students, to pay attention to some of the subjects they have at school, because sometimes they turn useful in life.
Yeah. So when you moved to, why not? Why did you decide to move to Norway? Because I know Italy has better weather.
Yeah, way better weather. Well, we don't complain. This year so far has been okay here, but yeah, my wife is Norwegian, of course. So
Oh,
yeah.
and how is,
So
is she taller?
no, she's not.
Good.
She's not. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know why I say? Because I went to Norway once, and I went to a concert in Norway, and I'm 5'10", and I felt like I was a hobbit.
Yeah, well, it's the same. I always have that feeling. That's why I don't like. I actually quit going to gigs to see concerts since I'm in Norway because it's very difficult for me to see.
You only see
Yeah,
people because
yeah,
they're
yeah.
small.
So I prefer to play concert. At least I can see everybody. You know? So
That
the other way around is better. So
yeah, that,
yeah, yeah, it's a very different country. You know, people are different. The way, of course, the weather is different, which makes all the difference in everything. You know, and but we have a really good living here. I mean, of course, you need to get used to the cold weather, you know, and you need to get used to the snow, shoveling the snow, and all those things. But I have been here now 17 years, so
yeah.
so far so good, I would say.
You're almost an honorary Viking.
Almost. It's a long way to go, but I'm doing my best.
Yeah, I've been to Oslo. I went like in 2016, and the weekend I was the weekend I went to Oslo. It was the Infernus Music Festival.
Ah, yeah, yeah.
I
It's in
didn't,
April.
yeah, I didn't know it was gonna be. Yeah, it was like in April to March, like at the end of March. So I'm like, cool. So I saw some bands there. I'm like, but I like had difficulty seeing the stage. I'm like, people here are so tall. Like so,
But in the Netherlands, they are even taller. Go
yes,
figure it out.
they're super tall people.
Yeah.
I'm Puerto Ricans are not that tall, so we're like, for Puerto Rico, I'm in the taller section.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, it's good. So you are a music teacher as well. So when you're teaching, like, and you get like guitar players that want to get better at that technique, uh, what do you like tell them to incorporate, to like to get better, to improve to upcoming guitar players?
Uh, yeah, well, it depends on the person, I would say. But of course, I mean, the very important thing is to keep practicing every day. That's very important. You know, it doesn't make any sense to practice just sometimes. You know, and that's basically, I think, the struggle that anybody has. You know, because motivation goes up and down for everybody. You know,
Yeah.
but you know, it's very important to do a little bit every day. So there is no point into practice 8 hours on Sunday just because you have the time to do it, even though it's fun and whatever. But it would be more useful to practice 1 hour every day instead during the week. You know, so you need to be consistent. You know, and then, but the most important thing is you need to understand what you want to do because it's a big commitment. So especially practicing technique, it takes several months and years. You know, so you need to understand what your goal is. Is it playing complicated music? Is it playing? Is it just writing songs? You know, I mean, you need to learn how to play the instrument and get the best that you can on your instrument, but you also need to understand what your goal is first of all. You know, because there are a lot of things that can be improved and not necessarily technique is the most important. You know, technique is just a tool that you should have in order to achieve the music that you have in your mind. You know, so I listen to a lot of different kind of music. I listen to great guitar players, very technical, but I also listen to music that is very simple. Like I always loved Nirvana. I think was one of the best bands in history. You know, but the music is pretty basic. You know, yeah, there we go. That's probably the best album together with the Dark Side of the Moon. You know, when it comes to my taste. You know,
I have
so sorry.
I have Dark Side of the Moon somewhere too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the first step. And it's very difficult when you are a teenager to really understand where you want to go with music. You know, you're gonna learn along the way. But my goal is give different opportunities to my students, and in order to explain them, this is the way, this is the scenario we have, and you just need to choose one of those according to the creativity that you express on your instrument.
Yeah. So let's talk about your late. That's a good advice for musicians. So let's talk about your latest album, Revolution of Evolution.
That's
Tell
correct.
a story behind that, because that's a cool album title. Is there a story behind the album title?
Uh, the album title, I think it's, in a way, it's cool. In another way, it's super overwhelming and even a little bit awkward sometimes. But there is a point there. And the point is that in 2008, I made my first EP, which was called Evolution, which represented the transition between me being into a modern death metal band, moving to something completely different.
Yeah.
Up to that point, which was instrumental rock. And then, I started from that point, and album after album, I added elements to that music. And I actually, even though the transition was very hard, then I took some of the elements that I had in heavy metal, and I added to the whole how can we call it, sound picture. And after now, basically, how many years? 17 years. I feel that with this album, I managed to, to establish and evolving my songwriting in a way that I'm incorporating every single influence that I have as a musician. And I have a lot of influences because, as I told you, I play, being a professional musician as well, I play a lot of different music. I might be playing pop music, I might be playing blues, jazz, sometimes funky, and if you look for, let's make this example. If you look for funky in this album, you're not really finding any funky in there, but there are several layers of guitars. So sometimes there are other things coming in, which, of course, you need to listen to the album many times in order to find out. So so I tend to, the music for me is just a way to get my creativity out, and I have a lot of ideas, too many ideas, usually too many ideas, and I learn little by little to organize those ideas into songs. And I think with this album, I actually managed to do that better comparing to the previous albums, which I don't regret, of course, because it has been a journey, And that's why I decided to call it the Revolution of Evolution, because basically after all those albums, I managed to take the music that I wrote on the first album, Evolution, to a completely different level. And when I was in the studio, actually, I had that feeling comparing to some other times. I'm always kind of satisfied of the music when I write it and when I produce it. This time I was like, this is different. I feel the music is very good, and I tried to be a little bit, which is difficult usually, to step back, because if you are too much involved, you cannot really judge it in a way. And I was like, yeah, but I always think a little bit like this. So until it's going to be out and there will be an audience listening to that, I cannot really know if I'm thinking correctly or not. But the album is out now since almost 2 months, and I had great reactions. It was described like one of the best hard rock albums this year. And the more that the reviews come in, the more I'm amazed and overwhelming by the response. Which in a way or another, it's a big, of course, an achievement, but it's you feel like a reward comparing to all the effort that I used, because we are talking about a lot of hours of work in the studio.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. How long was the recording process for this record?
Was basically 3 years, but not full time, of course, because I do different things. I do teach, I produce other bands, and I have a guitar company called Inspira Guitars. But I try to find every week a little bit of time to just write music, which is a very relaxing process for me. It's almost like meditation in one way or another. So, and I'm, the good thing with me is that I'm very good organized. So I always find the time for different things. And I like to keep going, not to leave stuff unfinished. So it's very important to finish, to get being done with things and just move forward. That's why this summer I was like, okay, the album is written, the album is produced. I record the guitars 1 million times because, I always try to do the best I can. Now it's time to mix it. And I used the whole summer just mixing that, June, July, and August.
Yeah, I'll have to put the link for your guitar, Inspira Guitars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, I like it because it's Italian and Spanish. They inspire.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's actually it's funny because Inspira Guitars. Inspira is a song of mine that is from my album, which is called Five, my fifth album. The album before this actually.
Yeah.
But the name came from I was driving from Norway to Sweden, and there was in at the border there is a science museum.
Oh, nice.
which has that name. And when I saw that name, I always look for new names for songs. I read a lot, and then I find some names that I like it, and then basically I start a story after those titles, or vice versa. I have some titles, and I feel that they are the right titles for some songs. So I was like, Inspira, that sounds very cool, and I used that in a song. And then when I opened the company, probably a couple of years after that, I went back to that title for the name of the company, and the people like that. And then I recorded the name. Now is everything is recorded. I have the trademark for it. And all this. But the success of the company, in part, is because of the name. People really like that.
Did the people in the museum call you like you took the name?
I didn't go to the museum. I just saw the museum from the highway.
Don't tell the museum. But yeah, no, it's a cool name for a guitar company. Which I'll post what's the link for people who are interested.
It's www.inspiraguitars.com. Very simple.
Okay. So if you wanna check out the guitars, I don't play, but I can check them out and look at them and see what cool they look. So let's show the artwork of your latest album. So we can talk a little bit about the artwork, what you're going for. So here's the artwork of the album. Let me put it bigger. It's too small right now. Okay. So you have the gorilla in the middle. The city is crumbling. Tell me a little bit about what you were going for with this artwork.
The thing is that the revolution of evolution is based on a personal story, as I told you, but also reflects the social environment we live in, with the abuse of AI daily, and with this, and we're also very scared since back in the day that artificial intelligence would actually take over human beings one way or another. So when it was time to make the cover with me and the artist, which is Mark Bridgman from Germany, who did already my previous album and the one before that, we thought about some kind of story behind the artwork as well. This is also the first time I use both the artist name and my real name. In fact, under Demetrio moniker, you can find Demetrio Scopeletti. In order to, I in the beginning, in the early years, there was some confusion because people couldn't really understand who was Demetrio and who was Demetrio Scopeletti. So with this album, we make sure that then everybody know that it's just me, And about the cover, instead, it's as usual. We mixed up a little bit of technologic visuals with instead something more organic. And the gorilla, of course, is being an ape, is the symbol of human evolution, or before human evolution. So represents the evolution. And the background, of course, is a apocalyptic scenario, where the only survivors are basically the animals around, because there is no human being anymore there, and crazy enough, last week, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, when I was coming back from China, I saw probably the last chapter of the Planet of the Apes. I don't know if you saw that.
Or the new one.
I think it's the new one. I don't remember the title now, but a lot of scenarios and places, they were pretty similar to the cover of this album. And so I saw the movie after we did the cover, So I was like, oh, wow, it's incredible, because now people think that I did that copying the original, but actually it was a coincidence. Even though, of course, I mean, the previous episodes, they were a little bit more, based on the same ambient, one way or another. So yeah, and people like also this artwork. The artwork is, I think, is a very important part of the album, and needs to be consistent with the music. And in this case, I think it is.
Yes, it is. It is. It's a cool. The album, I did the driving test to it, where you're driving and listening to the music. So it's a good driving record.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of cinematic, and that's basically also because I feel that I'm together with being inspired by music in general. I'm inspired also by movies, and I like science fiction a lot. And that comes into the music, because there is a lot of sounds in like Blade Runner sounds and all this, and it's part of my upbringing as a musician as well.
Yeah, plus I'm guessing we grew up like in the similar time, because you mentioned that. Yeah, like I don't know why people are so surprised with AI now. Like we saw the Terminator.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, we had a lot of example back in the past, and Terminator, and a lot of different science fiction movies, which were actually predicting where we were going to go, and also bands like I don't know if you're not familiar with the band Fear Factory.
Oh, of course, I've seen them.
They are always talking about this since 1992, probably, since Terminator came out.
Yeah, they great albums. I saw them live here in Puerto Rico like 10 years ago. I think it was Soulfly and Fear Factory.
Mm-hmm.
It was a pretty cool concert. That was when they had Seabird and Bell singing for them. So it was a cool thing. So in this record, do you have a favorite song that you like to play from the new record?
Well, it's always very difficult for me to choose a song, but and I'm believe it or not, the funny thing is that I'm still learning the songs, because recording a song, especially with the process that we have nowadays, is completely different from back in the day, where you were writing the song, which was always performing the song, and then make it better, and then go into the studio and record it after you actually knew the song perfectly. Now it works in a completely different way, because especially being solo and doing everything by myself, I do multi-tracking, and I write and record at the same time, and then I re-record because probably the first idea didn't come out so good. So basically, after the song is finished, the song is finished, but you need to learn it.
Yeah.
And learning this album is a very time consuming process because there is a lot happening, you know. And now I have been touring in Germany and China, and of course I wanted to bring some of the new music to the audience. But you just have like 30-40 minutes to play, so you cannot just bring new songs, you also need to play the old songs, you know. So I managed to prepare Singularity and Undercurrent, which are the first two songs. And little by little, I'm practicing also the other songs, you know, recording videos, doing playthroughs for YouTube and all this, or for other companies advertising for their pedals or products in general. And so at the moment, I mean, some of the song I can play some of the songs. I can play it means I have the control 100% on the whole song. But I also, you know, there are different songs. There is for example, Singularity and Undercurrent, which are very, very technical. So you need to sit down and practice the technique behind the songs. And then there are songs like In the Air, which are instead very simple because they are just 3-4 chords and very based on the feel in the instrument. So it's a completely different thing. So it's more like a state of mind, you know. You really need to feel the music that you play. So I think it's, you know, it's a balance. My music is a balance of those two aspects. You know, the technical part, which is always following the music, by the way, never for the sake of it, and then the feeling, you know, which I get from guitar players like you know, Brian May, Joe Satriani. You know, even though everybody talk about Joe like a very technical guitar player, he is a great guitar player, of course, but he is very, how can I say it? His playing is very based on the feeling. You know, it comes from blues. So blues, in blues, the tone, the touch is very important. You know.
Yeah. Plus, you mentioned earlier, like you love Nirvana. So Nirvana is not known for complex, but they wrote good songs. So it's all about what the song. And yeah, listening to the album, I could tell there are songs that are more easier and then the complex thing. So you have that duality. You can do both. And I like what you said. Not just like, you don't want to be like that guy, like, oh, I can play this super like guitar solo, but does it suit the song? So you play something that suits the song.
Yeah, I never really think in terms of technical abilities, you know. And it's weird that if you Google my name on the internet, you find that I have a very technical style. As a guitar player, I don't think I do. Maybe as a composer, because I like. It's not that I like, but I do complicated stuff, and that complication is due to the thing that I have a lot of ideas, and it's very difficult to make sense of those ideas, you know. So it's very difficult to arrange it, and what is difficult to arrange, then you tend to overcomplicate it. You know, you get into some kind of loops in one way or another. So, but my approach to the instrument is very simple, very simple. I like simple melodies. I like to play slow. I don't like to play fast. I struggle playing fast, you know. So of course I have technique because I played for 32 plus years, you know. And you know, playing heavy metal in a way or another, you learn the technique, you learn how to play fast and all this. But I always try to do everything the easiest that I can usually, because the music is the most important thing, and then, you know, the guitar is just an instrument.
Yeah. No, if you Google yourself, yeah, it says virtuoso guitar player. I also Googled myself with the channel, and it says that it says Hector identifies as a shield dude. It was hilarious. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, it's full. I Google myself in the channel, and the AI says like, oh, he identifies as a shield dude and stuff like that. So yeah,
Yeah.
the album. So the album for everyone watching this, it's out now. It's been out since September 21st. Where can people get it physically if they choose to buy it?
So since in the past I always order a lot of CDs, and then the biggest part is still in my warehouse. This time I went for releasing digitally, so on all the DSP on the planet, the digital streaming services. And but if people would like to have the physical copy of a CD or LP, they can find it on Elastic Stage, which is on-demand store in the UK. So you can, yeah, probably later on I can give you some. I mean, the address of the website, but it's elasticstage.com. So you can find me there, and you can just order one copy. So I think it's on demand. So I don't need to order a big amount of copies and then sell them around, because I see that there are less and less people interested into that. So I don't even have a CD myself.
I don't even. That's a very smart way. Like I also did that for the merch on my channel. I'm not like it's better. Like if you want it and they make it somewhere like on demand. If you buy it, they make it there. I think that's better because then that way we don't end up losing money.
Yeah, because usually when I'm announcing the new album, everybody write to me, "Oh, I want to have the CD. I want to have the CD." Then I make the CD. Nobody buys that. So this time, you want to have the CD, you go on the website, you get the CD.
That's a good, yeah. People, I want the CD. I want the CD. Then they're like, oh, but it's too expensive.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
There's the shipping. There's the tariffs.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a. You know what? That's a very smart way to do it. Like if you want to buy it, and then they'll make it and they'll ship to you. So what's next for you, Demetrio? Like, are you? You play some shows. Are you done with shows for the year?
Yeah, for the year, yes, but in January I will be in the US. So January is going to be US. There will be NAM as well, the NAM show, and February I'm going to tour in Europe, in France, and May in Italy. So I go back home for a while, just playing some shows there, and and then there will be the summer, probably some festival here and there.
Where in Italy did you grow up?
I grew up in the north, I would say, even though my parents, they're from the south. So I lived a little bit in the south. I was born in the north. I lived for 5 years in the south, and then my parents, they moved to the north again, which probably was a very good move, because otherwise things would have been way more complicated, and they were already pretty complicated. So moving from the north of Italy to Norway was pretty easy because of the flights and all these. Even though when I moved here, I was touring a lot in Europe, so I was never at home. But I would, my genes are from the south of Italy, but my personality probably is more north of Italy kind of based, All my friends are in the north.
Okay. Yeah, I went to Italy back in 2006. Visited the Florence, Rome.
Was it in the summer?
It was in the summer. No,
So
no,
okay.
it wasn't in the summer. It was in September.
All right.
October. So it wasn't that hot and it wasn't cold. It was a great weather.
September is good. It's still summertime, but it's mild,
Yeah, it was funny because I went with my family and my sister back then, and every time we went somewhere, an Italian dude would ask me if my sister, they were like girlfriend, and I'm like,
yeah.
No, and then they went Bella.
Yeah. But it's very funny because it is funny that you mentioned this. I have two kids. a daughter and a son. My son is 11, but my daughter, she is 16. And she looks already like she is 22 or whatever, because girls, they grow up pretty fast. They are women before men, they grow up. So we went to Italy just 1 month ago, and everybody thought that we were a couple. So I had to explain to everybody that it was my daughter. So so it was very embarrassing one way or another. So especially for her, of course.
I would imagine. I have a daughter too and a son, but she's 8 and he's 6, so they're a little bit younger. But yeah, no, I would be like embarrassed, and also like you don't want anyone like hitting on your daughter.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, no, that happened when I went to Italy. So Demetrio, it's been fun talking with you, and I'm sure you're glad that I can pronounce your name.
Yeah, you can. Yes.
So
my pleasure. Thank you very much for doing this, and thank you very much for doing this in general. This is a very good public service to have. Spreading the word about bands and music in general. So thank you very much for that.
yeah, no, I like to talk to different types of bands. So Couchers, the Demetrio Scopeletti album is out now digitally. If you want a physical copy, go on the website, pay first, and then they'll make it and ship it to you.
Yeah, elasticstage.com.
Yes. And also like they can follow you on YouTube and on the social.
Yeah. All the social media, YouTube, I post one video every week. Usually it's always about music. It might be a song, it might be a demo, review, or whatever. There are a lot of musicians that follow me, but not only musicians, because I also, play music for everybody usually. And then, of course, Facebook, Instagram, X, all over the place.
All over the place. So yeah, so check out the music if you like, instrumental rock with different type of vibes and flavor to it. And yeah, and also if you can subscribe to his channel, YouTube channel, and subscribe to mine if you like my content. I do interviews, album reviews. I have my series where we talk about bad albums, which is also a public service. We listen to the bad albums,
of course,
so you don't have to. So I want to thank you, Demetrio, for joining me from all the way from Norway here to Puerto Rico. So until next time, Couchers, this is Hector, the Shield Dude on a Couch, and I'll see you all right here on the couch. Thank you and goodbye.